Hello?
William?
Yeah, speaking?
It's Sergeant Vanderleest with the Boulder Police Department.
Hey, Vanderleest. How do you spell that, if I may ask?
It's V as in Victor, A-N-D-E-R-L-E-E-S-T.
Vanderleest. Vanderleest. Okay, sweet. Did you happen to be one of the, officers present, with an encounter earlier tonight, with two gentlemen, named William and David?
Yes.
Okay, so you are the sergeant that was on the right-hand side, that initially approached from the west?
I am the sergeant that was on scene, yes.
Okay, so the blonde lady. Okay, good. Well, yes. Boy, to get you on the phone here like this, it's actually a kind of a privilege because, we usually have to go, up the chain faster, but you still have a chance to deal with this yourself. And I know, obviously, that you guys just wrote us tickets that say you can give us this right to fight it in court and so forth and so on. But here's something that you need to understand. We'll keep it simple. My brother and I have been through this now over 30 times. We actually had been recording this entire event beforehand. I do it all the time, and so I had video recorded and also audio recorded the entire event up to that point, and we had been extremely clear, obviously asking about statutes and so forth, and private drives, and this type of behavior is literally so 100% illegal. The tickets that we were actually written says 28 and Canyon. So that's a racketeering activity. That's a false document for recording. That's literally what we were trying to tell you guys on the streets. And so we see this a lot, and the reason why we need to tell you this way is because a pattern of racketeering activities is where, two crimes are committed by an enterprise back to back to keep their, enterprise going. And so we see this a lot with departments. We have 8 jurisdictions now that have had this same pattern of behavior. It's basically when an ego doesn't collapse correctly, all sorts of bad things happen. Denial, cover-up crimes. Most of them end up being false information to authorities, attempted influence. And basically, we've actually been wrongfully convicted of being like outside of parks with later, proof that we show them that we're, with leases and stuff that we're not in those parks. And what we're trying to say is that this happened just like it did before, again here, and we were trying to work with the officers. We would like to have you and your Internal Affairs Department go over the audio. Truthfully speaking, I think you should literally fire all of them literally right now, because we asked for statutes. They would not go over them. We said private drives multiple times. I pointed to the signs. They were private drive signs literally right behind them, and we don't know how else to get through to you guys. He said that we would be arrested, and so we're wondering if we could go back to those private drives. If you guys say that, we'll be arrested, that's the whole point. We're going to literally have to due process that because we're sick and tired of being moved along illegally. And so if you can kind of see our problem here, we were very reasonable. We asked for the statutes. Initially, he said panhandling. Then he kind of went to say panhandling on the medians. And then obviously when we got to the medians, we tried to explain that the statute 5616, which they would not let us go over in the streets. You wouldn't let me get my phone out to read the actual words. It says street. And we knew that before, because you want to know what? It's really sad, but this exact statute was actually given to me by Fort Collins. And I actually was on a public median by then, one that I had been on for years that they didn't even enforce. So we know the actual statutes. I had actually read both the aggressive panhandling and median and just you name it. We looked at your maps beforehand, and there was actually real quick. You need to know this. The reason why we also were so contentious was because there was a previous incident with other officers a couple of weeks prior. That you can look up, where we actually were on the public roads, the 28th Street roads, there on those medians, and that was our first time. And so, the officers came out and were actually really nice to us. And since that was our first time in the city,
they gave us. We actually moved along and took the warning, and he didn't write us a ticket.
Yeah. So since it was the first time of us both meeting, we decided that it was kind of an education experience / warning, and they said you can do it on the other 2 median-like private drives. They obviously didn't have any issue there. And so that's the elements obviously are not met. Designation, there was an actual street there. It said, private drive, no city maintenance. And so are we going to have to, be arrested tonight? Because we would like to just get it over with. Or can we just go ahead and go back onto our private drive, and you can go ahead and arrest all these gentlemen for not following the law?
So, William, you're more than welcome to take these tickets to court. I appreciate you pointing out the error. I will have the officer change the location to 28th and Walnut, but I believe that the ticket is going to stand and you can take all of these arguments to court.
So have you actually seen the private drive sign yourself? Did you look at that sign?
Yep, I did see it.
And so you're saying that that private drive is a street?
I'm saying that's a city street.
That's a city street, and so it says no city maintenance on it, and so you're saying it's a city street.
Yep.
Hey, I need to let you know this. I need to let you know this. I actually went on to the Boulder County website, and I clicked on the parcels for those locations. I actually have those parcel numbers right here if you need them. Ready? This one is parcel number... Look, ma'am, that's a private drive, ma'am. You can't tell me that's a street, ma'am. How is that applicable? It has parcel numbers. What is...
I'm going to tell you to stay off the median.
What does private drive, no city maintenance mean, ma'am? What does private drive, no city maintenance mean?
So I'm not going to continue to have this argument with you because you continue to talk for me.
Okay, so are there any streets that are not included in your statute, or are all streets, both private and public, included in your statute, 100%?
So any median that's more than 30 feet wide, you can be on. So there are several in the city that are more than 30 feet wide.
Okay, just give me like the really quick here. 1 second. Let me see here. Where was this? There it is. 5616. Okay. Let's see here. Give me a second. It's just slow to load. I'm sorry. Thanks for being reasonable. Okay, this is the part where we couldn't do this in the street. 5616A. No person shall stand or be upon a median of any street for longer than is reasonably necessary to cross the street. The subsection about 30 feet is C. It says this section does not apply to medians, which just says medians, which are 30 or more feet wide. But that's a subsection. So A, you have to go off of no person shall stand or be upon a median of any street. So are you telling me that that private drive is a street that 5616 applies to?
Yes.
And you're willing to put your job on the line for that?
William, that will be your argument in court. You can make that argument with the judge.
Ma'am, do you literally realize what you're telling me? Are you literally willing to throw your life away and literally racketeer with these cops and get in really big trouble with really big, bad statutable violations like co-conspiring and racketeering activities? Because you literally think that you can tell me that 5616 applies to a private drive?
William, I feel like you and I have gone round and round about this.
Exactly. Guess what? People tell me that all the time. Cops tell me that because there's nothing to talk about when we actually get down to the facts. You said private drives. It says streets. So tell me, are there any roads, are there any private drives that are not applicable with 5616? Is there anywhere that we can stand?
William, I'm telling you that you can stand on medians that are larger than 30 feet.
Ma'am,
Did not say private.
Can I stand on the side of that road? Sorry, private drive?
Yes, you can.
And what if I stand on that private drives in the middle area?
If you stand on the median, we will issue you another ticket.
And that median is not on a street. See, okay, that private drive is not anything that you guys have any jurisdiction over because it's not a street.
William?
Okay, ma'am, just give me a second here. Thank you. I apologize. I'm going to look up the definition of private drive using your Minnesota code. So thank you. If you could just give me a second, please. Please, just give me a second to look up the definition of a private drive, ma'am. Please indulge me. Please. Thank you.
I have to go to work.
Ma'am,
Have you screaming at me.
I'm trying to make sure that I get my due process in here. Because
You get your due process in court, William.
no,
That's
this
what
is
happened.
illegal. There is no due process. I'm literally reporting to you that you guys are racketeering. You are not allowed to write that ticket. You're literally not allowed to do that. Your internal affairs is going to fire you for that. That's not a street. How can you tell me? Why are you trying to collapse my ego illegally and tell me that that is a street? How am I supposed to act when I see a sign that says private drive, no city maintenance?
William?
Do you literally think that's an argument for court? Do you literally think that you have some argument for court that you can call private drives streets? I'll tell you this real quick. I'll let you know something. There is on the other side of that private drive, the one that David, the opposite side, so the east side of 28th and whatever it is, that is private drive too. And guess what? Security already stopped my brother on that side. That's why he had to go to the other side. So what is it? Is it security guards' private drive or is it your guys's? Because he got moved along from their private property security guard.
Arguments.
That's not an argument, ma'am. Come on, think about that, ma'am. Where's your private drive?
More, William. I'm going to hang up now.
Ma'am,
Have a good
can I have your badge number, please, so I can finish this conversation?